Alright, Shalom. First off, I want to start off by saying all praises, honor, and glory due unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakal Says all praises who the world calls God in Jesus Christ. The true names in the Hebrew is Yahweh for the Heavenly Father and Yahushai for his beloved Son. I also want to say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, preaching his word in truth and sincerity. This is the brother Tazabah from the Great Millstone, Arizona camp. And I wanted to get into this lesson. I'm going to title it Edom, the aggressor in the earth. Because a lot of people like to act like they're unaware of who's the biggest threat in earth and who does the most, and they never want to face the fact of putting a title on an entire people where it's literally an entire amalgamation of people who is the top dogs in conflict, dishing out the most death. These other nations that have these problems, like they'll go to China and they'll look what they've done with their people throughout their history, and they'll look at South Korea and North Korea and look at what they've done with their people throughout history. And they'll look at Africa, Uganda, and places like that, and look at what they've done throughout their history. But those conflicts were between themselves. And people don't like to put the look at who's the one that's going into multiple different nations and causing upheaval. So this is what this lesson is going to get into. And I'm going to go through some information, and I'm going to go through some scriptures, and Lord willing, this is edifying. So the first source of information I wanted to grab was this article right here. It says, America has been at war 93% of the time. 222 out of 239 years since 1776. Now this article, let's see when this article was made in 2015. It's about to be 5 years more. So that 93% is going to bump up because that war has not stopped. Now it says it was first published in 2015. Now it says below I've reproduced a year-by-year timeline of America's wars, which reveals something quite interesting since the United States was formed in 1776. She has been at war during 214 out of her 235 calendar years of existence. In other words, there were only 21 calendar years in which the United States did not wage any wars. And this is how Esau, and this is how the scriptures tell you Esau would get down. This is his blessing. War and an art of war and wanting to wage it was his blessing from the beginning. This is Genesis 27, and I'll start at 38. It says, And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke off thy neck. And it says, by his sword he shall live. A sword is a weapon of war. And that's what you're seeing, man. It says, for you to be at war 93% of the time of your existence as being a nation, and all those wars are not domestic wars, there's a problem. And we're going to go through it. It says, to put this in perspective, pick any year since 1776, and there is about a 91% chance that America was involved in some war during that calendar year. You can pick any year, and over 90% of the time you'll be right in a smack dab in the middle of a wartime. It says, no U.S. president truly qualifies as a peacetime president. Instead, all U.S. presidents can technically be considered war presidents. You see? And this is the same time now. You know? This is the U.S. has never gone a decade without war. The only time the U.S. went 5 years without war is 1935 through 1940. Was during the isolationist period of the Great Depression. You see? It says, now these are some of the years. It says 1776, Revolutionary War, 1777, Revolutionary War with the Chickamauga Wars, the Cherokee Wars, you see? In the early years of America is all about wars against the Israelites. It says Revolutionary War, American Revolution, American Revolution, American Revolution, American Revolution, American Revolution. You see? Look at that. This is an extensive history of just being on a tirade. Look at that. This list is huge, man. But people don't like to point out the fact that these Edomite devils, these so-called white people who you know today, have always and are distinctly the aggressors in the earth. You know? Always and distinctly are the aggressors in on a war-torn path in the earth, and they never want to point that out. Let me see if I get this team in for that, bro. Oh man, I'm thinking of the scripture and it's evading me. Lord will, the Lord will get it to me, but I'm gonna grab another one of these articles. And this one is by Independent. It says the 9 most warmongering countries in the world revealed. Now I'm gonna jump down to the meat and potatoes on this. It says of the 162 countries the IEP analyzed for its global peace index, 81, exactly half, and including Japan, were rated as having no involvement in external conflict. That means that if Japan does pass its legislation, it will tip the balance, making the majority of the world's nations engaged in war. The worst country in the world for external conflict was Uganda, according to the IEP, which is literally just a whole nation of people going at each other. You know, there's Israelites in Uganda and stuff like that, but it's really just a whole nation of people going at each other, and it's an internal conflict. It has been heavily involved in fighting the DR Congo, as well as skirmishes with the Lord's Resistance Army, LRA, of Joseph Kony in the border regions. Now it says the U.S. came second, followed by Rwanda, and then the UK, which IEP said has nonetheless improved its overall ranking in the index as a result of its exit from the mission in Afghanistan. You see, the U.S. came in second, but it's really the U.S. should be first, because you have to understand that being able to set up military bases throughout the world, that is an act of war. You're pulling your guns right onto a nation's border. Now I'm going to go to another article. You know, this is just proving that Esau is the goddamn aggressor in the earth. Now this is off of Wikipedia, right? It says category list of wars by country. Now I'm going to go down to the United States. Now they have to break the U.S. down into 2 categories. It says list of armed conflict involving the United States and list of wars involving the United States. Now let's go to a list of content. Now it says Armed conflict of the colonial and the early American periods. Look at that. Spanish conquistadors. Southwest Florida. Edomites. Rebellion of San Miguel de Guadalupe. Edomites, that was the Spaniards. French colonialists. Mutiny of Charles Fort. Edomites. Spanish assault on French Florida. Edomites. Raids on St. Augustine. Roanoke colony, where the Edomites rolled through and just killed them Native Americans. Anglo-Powhatan Wars. Colonial Virginia. You see, all these are the wars, and a lot of these was Esau against the Gadites. Now it says, and that's just going to early America, you know. It's got the 19th century, the 20th century. It says war in 1812. You see, this is American excellence. It's war. Now, wars involving the U.S. going all the way back to the 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st century. Just extensive. Look at this. Look at this, man. Now, peep the increase when we get to the 20th century. 1859, 1871. You see this? These are how these Edomites are getting down. Yaquis War, American Indian Wars, Arizona and Mexico. Now you get into 20th century, boom. This devil has always been at the helm of going into other countries. Look at that. World War I, World War II, Russian Civil War, Last Indian Uprising, World War II right there, Korean War, Laotian Civil War, Lebanon Crisis, Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba, Simba Rebellion Operation Dragon Rogue. Look at that. You see how these Edomites get down? They're always at war. Now this devil has been at war this much time, but nobody wants to point him out. But the men of the Lord were set up to shake the hand and point the finger that we may go into the gates of the noble. That's why we're here to put this stuff in context, man. In context. This damn Edomite has been at the helm of all conflict. He is the aggressor of the earth. And now I'm going to get into some of these scriptures. This is Jeremiah 50. In 23. It says, how is the hammer of the earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? And now what you have to ask is, who has been a hammer of the whole earth? Who has been able to go into country after country after country after country after country and wage war and take resources? Esau, the Edomites, the so-called white men, Babylon the Great, America, the UK, Spain, France, Germany, Sweden. All these Edomite nations, they've always done the same things. The only difference is Babylon the Great, America, and these Edomites have gone above and beyond in this task. You see? And he's done this by his blessed and his sword. This is Revelation 6 and 4. It says, and there went out another horse that was red. Edom was that red horse. The nation of Edom was that red horse, and had power, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. And Out of 90%, 93% of the time, America's been at war. Doesn't that sound like it's been able to take peace the entire time from the earth? And power was given him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. You know, what did he have first? The Gatling gun. The French had the cannon. America now has the nuclear missiles, and all these other nations are getting them too, man. This is that red horse that was taking peace from the earth, man. Isaiah 14 and 6. You know, I'll start 4. It says, "Thou shalt take up this parable against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor seized the golden city?" Now, what hasn't Edom, the so-called white man, been an oppressor throughout the entire earth? Taking all the resources of these other countries, making them sign up for these horrible deals where he's always benefiting and they're sitting there struggling. Why do you think there's a term called third world countries? And a place like Africa that is rich in resources. You know, why do you think? And this is the golden city, man. Isn't this the place where people thought their dreams would come to pass? Streets paved with gold. That's what the saying was, right? Yahweh had broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger and is persecuted and none hindered. Now, hasn't this Edomite gone to all these other countries and smote the people in anger and wrath, bombed them to hell? You gotta sit here and think about these things and be objective and stop sitting here and thinking that you have to conform your thoughts to how everybody thinks they should think. You have to have to put your finger on who is the perpetrator. It says, verse 6, he is persecuted and none hindered, right? And that's what you're seeing now. Esau's being persecuted. Everybody's pointing his finger at him saying, hey, man, this devil, everybody doesn't want to do business with him. They're sitting there trying to pull away from him, make their own monetary system so they don't have to do anything. And they're sitting there saying, hey, you're the one causing the problems. All these nations are. Straight up in UN meetings. This is my last precept. This is Psalms 55. And 20. He put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant. Didn't he do that with the Native American Indians, the Gadites, the children of Israel? Did he not do that with Iran recently? And they weren't violating the INF treaty? Hasn't he done that with China? Hasn't he done that with Russia? Hasn't he done that with all these countries throughout the world? It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And that's how he's walked through the entire earth. Edom, the so-called white man, has been the aggressor and the whole perpetrator of strife throughout the entire world. And we're coming into times now, man, where the Lord is about to start persecuting. You know? So Lord willing, this is edifying. Know who the real devil is in the earth. Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai. Double honors to elders and apostles, a great millstone and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. Shalom.